So I'm just going to do a quick video of day 21 defoliation on a somewhat smaller plant, I guess. It's only about a foot tall from the soil up. As I said, it is day 21 in flower. I generally stick with a day 1 and day 21 defoliation schedule. This will be the last time that this plant gets defoliated during its lifetime in flower and before harvest. Excuse me. So on the day 1, I'll do that on another video, but I'll give a quick rundown. Day 1, I generally do take off any branches and any larger leaves larger than a silver dollar, about that big, in surface area. So I'll show you one here in a second just to give you a clear definition. Basically any petiole leaf, so anything with a stem, but if it's that big in surface area, and it doesn't have to fill the whole silver dollar, but you know, if it reaches out that large, take that. And again, that's the day 1. Day 21, I just take the large petiole leaves, larger than a silver dollar size. At this point, I've basically structured the plant how I want it, so I'm not going to be removing any branches. You also don't want to do any topping or removing the capicola or the cola buds on any branches, just because that will stress the plant and trigger hermaphroditing and or other stress-induced symptoms, and so you really just want to keep it to just defoliating. And I will take any lower flowers that are like real small down on the bottoms of the branches. I'll show you some of them, but the ones that are only about the size of a pea, and they aren't ever really going to produce anything. They're ultimately just drawing nutrients off of the plant. But other than that, it really is just removal of leaves at this stage. So yeah, we'll get started and show you what it looks like start to finish. And again, like I said, this will be the last defoliation event in the plant's life before harvest. Then obviously harvest would do the trimming, but this gives the plant, you'll see at the end, it still leaves enough foliage so that the plant can absorb and convert the light, and it does, there is going to be enough foliage as well to cool it off, but also I mostly keep the environment set, the environmental controls set, so that the tent is at the right temperature and the plant doesn't have to work to do anything other than produce big fat inflorescence, big chunky buds, and healthy resin glands. So we really just are, and you can see I have my LST clips still on here, the low stress training clips on here still. I haven't thrown up trellis in here at this point yet, just because these plants don't need it at this point. I'll probably end up throwing up the trellis net in week 4 after I've hit these ones with pollen. These will be getting pollinated for seed production. but I'd probably do the same, or I generally do the same for plants I'm flowering out for flower production, just so that the plant doesn't have to work to support its heavy chunky buds. It just has to produce them. We still keep airflow on in the tent, nothing over 100 feet per minute for the air speed coming from the fans. You don't want it to be like wind tunnel or anything in there, but you know, you do want the leaves to get jostled a little bit and branches to sway a little bit. You need airflow, you need air movement, and so that will continue to provide, as well as the LST clips, the wind and occasional, you know, checking that I do, looking at the plants, turning them around. That provides enough low stress so that they are still getting a little bit of conditioning and strengthening, but they don't have to actually work to support themselves. That's what the LST clips do ultimately, and because of the LST clips, I have also, you know, strengthened all of the branches to the point where they can support themselves a lot more. And so then that, like I said, it really gets to the point where it's, you know, the buds are just these big chunky single colas growing up, the branches that I've left, and all the plant has to do is keep filling them with more of those lovely essential oils that we're after. And this also, you know, like I said, there will be some leaves left on here after this. You'll see, I'll show you what it looks like, but and they will grow out to catch some of the wind and the, you know, do some cooling and perspiration, transpiration, but the removal of all these leaves really helps to prevent the stagnant air from, you know, sitting in one spot and any sort of mold or mildew getting the chance to start to populate or develop. And so, you know, it's multi layers of benefits, multiple benefits, but are achieved by removing all these petiole leaves. Basically, yeah, just leave the sessile ones, the ones that don't have a stem yet. There will be some, like this one, you can see it is inside, it qualifies for the removal size, silver dollar size, but it basically had no stem. Some of them you will have to get right up in there. That's about the size. I mean, you know, again, if it does have a extended stem, this one probably a little bit smaller than a silver dollar, so, you know, but it is another reason why we're removing a lot of these, especially the upper ones, is they are ultimately blocking the light from getting down to a lot of the other flowers and inflorescence. And so it's, you know, you really are doing, again, multiple benefits by removing all of these oversized, essentially. And now, I like I've mentioned in other videos, people love to leave their big fan leaves on there, and that's, you know, they are beautiful, I get it, I understand, but especially if you're like, you know, looking to get some nice big chunky buds, you kind of just want to, you know, leave what the plant needs and don't let them get to the point where they're bigger than your head. It's cool, I get it, you know, but just because the plant does something naturally doesn't mean that that's going to give you the desired result of bigger, more dense inflorescence and buds, rather. You know, ultimately, you know, if you just do what, again, I've said this in other videos, if you just do what nature would intend, we would have seeds in all of our buds, because the plants would naturally self-propagate, even if, you know, that's why I stress, and I'll go over light leak detection and solutions in another video coming up soon. But it is so vital to go through and make sure that you don't have any light leaks, not even a little tiny pinhole, because that is enough for a lot of varieties. There are some varieties that are stable enough to withstand it, but most of them, a little bit of light in the dark period for photoperiod varieties, that's going to be enough to cause them to hermaphrodite, and then you'll end up having seeds. And just back to the defoliation, this is about the size of the small flowers that I'll remove, because it's not really going to do anything. And it was a downward facing one anyway, so it was on the bottom side of a branch. Any of those, especially anything that's like, you know, it's like two tiny little leaves and an itty bitty pistil, maybe, you know, one tiny little style or stigma, it's just not worth it, you know. It's you're better off just removing it. So I'm going to take this LST clip off of there, because it is actually jam-packed in the go ahead, use it right here. Yeah, that's kind of the thing with those LST clips. You really just need to, obviously you're not just trying to snap the branch. That's not the goal. But you do want to just, you know, go ahead and bend it, get it in place, get them on there. Move them around after a week or two, because the branches will swell. And that's the goal of it. It's going to send, the plant is going to send a bunch of hormones now to that area where the bend is, and so that area is going to get so tight that you probably saw I had to pinch it and squeeze it to get it off there. And so every couple weeks after one spot has gotten it real good, I'll go ahead and move it to another location, just like that. And so that's about the final look. I'll probably throw a couple more LST clips on here just to really get some good bends going, and really space out, you know, so that it's each flower is actually getting enough light and airflow, and then all that good. And so that is, like I said, the day 21 defoliation. Throw this on there. And that's about it. There we go. Beauty.